From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on LALATE.
It's a big midday here on LA with incredible breaking news about your fourth stimulus check updated 2021. A major deal has been hatched by the president. I'll explain this major deal that's all about forced stimulus and only about forced stimulus. It's breaking this morning, and you're going to hear it first on this channel. Then I'll be turning to fifth stimulus, the big benefits that will be raised across the board in a new bill this fall. And then the Mills Corner, we go over the big money you can get, thousands of dollars right now. It's a big morning with a lot of details and a special personal tribute from me in the second half of this video. I'm here, you're here, let's get to all the breaking news. It's wonderful, and it's happening right now on Noontime LALATE. Hey, good noontime, everybody. How are you? It's Saturday at noon. Hope you are having a beautiful and wonderful Saturday morning, afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in. This is noontime here from Los Angeles. I hope the weather is good where you are. Drop in the comments live chat or taped later in the day where you're watching from and tell me how the weather is. It is sunny. It is nice and cheerful, not particularly too warm and not particularly hot. Beautiful onshore breeze from the coast coming into here in Santa Monica. Hope your day is beautiful as well. In this first stimulus check update 2021, we have breaking news from the White House. I told you today I was going to have you breaking news, and this is shockingly wonderful breaking news about your fourth stimulus. You'll see the major deal that was hatched by the president today, and I'll be going over all the details about it in just a second. But first, we'll be going over the fourth stimulus check itself, how much you're going to get, when you're going to get in as well, and then how you're going to get the fourth stimulus check, who gets the fourth stimulus check, and how it gets calculated. Then the second half of this video, we'll go over fifth stimulus that'll raise your benefits up a lifetime, and in the middle of this video, we go over the fortunes you're going to get starting right now from third stimulus. This is LALATE, the only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel, live in the morning like now, and taped in the afternoon. Coming up next at 3 o'clock with afternoons and then 5 o'clock with evenings. So subscribe, 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube one-year record for a reason. The most comprehensive, the most in-depth, and the most accurate reporting there is. And the details you're going to see in this video, you're not going to see anywhere else because of the in-depth reporting of this channel. Also, like this video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. And later in this video, a personal tribute you're going to love. So stay to the very end for that surprise at the end. Let's get right into that fourth stimulus check and all the incredible details you need to know going into this major deal that I'm going to get to in a second. The fourth stimulus has both a Senate proposal and a House bill. The House bill we're going to go over with the Senate proposal. If you're watching just before 12 noon on the West Coast, get ready to vote. House or Senate, which one do you like? But not yet. Let's go over the details first. The House bill provides a stimulus check for the remainder of the pandemic plus 1 year monthly. The Senate proposal, on the other hand, provides a stimulus check from July to December. The House bill provides a stimulus check of $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter. The Senate proposal provides a monthly amount that is unknown, but word on the street is it's this. Wow, that is wonderful. $2,000 a month over 6 months, $12,000 a person. Or $1,400 a month over 6 months, $8,400 a person. Wow. Get ready to vote, but not just yet if you're watching this live just before 12 noon on the West Coast or taped later in the day. Let's go back to Jalopal's House bill and understand what macroeconomics could modify. Jalopal's bill is monthly for the pandemic plus 1 year, but some legislators contend the pandemic may be over. And if that's the case, then Jalopal would be providing 1 year, not pandemic plus 1 year. And 1 year is 12 months of checks. Under Jalopal's bill, that's $13,000 over a year. Compared to this, over 6 months. Yes, so I think you now have an opinion. Jump into the live chat and vote House or Senate and tell me where you're tuning in from this Saturday afternoon. House or Senate, and how's the weather and where you're tuning in from. Who gets this fourth stimulus check? You do. If you got the third stimulus check, you get the fourth stimulus check. Single individuals, 75,000 or less, you get the fourth stimulus check. Married couple, 150,000 or less, you get the fourth stimulus check. Household 4 or less, you get the fourth stimulus check. And if you're on benefits, you get the fourth stimulus check. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, survivor benefits, you get the fourth stimulus check. Someone in morning's LALATE video dropped a comment and said, do I get fourth stimulus and fifth stimulus together if I'm on benefits? Yes, of course, absolutely. That's a great question. Fourth stimulus, is there a different amount for people? No. For fourth stimulus has the same check amount for everyone. Adult dependents, minor dependents, everyone gets the same amount for the fourth stimulus check. There would be no waves of fourth stimulus checks. It's not a waivable check. High check. No, it's not waivable. It comes on a monthly basis. The fourth stimulus check is not taxable because it's not income. We don't know about child support, but the fourth stimulus check would land in the month of July for the month of July. And in the month of August, for the month of August, they make the representations, not me. I'm a reporter. They represent the vote will be in the month of July for the month of July. And there you go. That is the first of 3 fourth stimulus check updates of 2021 in this video. Coming up in the next one, I'm going to go over the breaking news and the major deal reached by the president about fourth stimulus. It's about fourth stimulus. It is only about fourth stimulus, and it impacts the deal. And it's wonderful and impacts the entire package. It's wonderful. But first, here's a preview of the second half of this video, which is fifth stimulus. Fifth stimulus is incredible because it raises up your benefits lifetime. Those benefits will be raised up under fifth stimulus, and then a new benchmark will be applied. That benchmark is inflation. Well, in the second half of this video, I'm going to go over the breaking news and show you how raising these benefits doesn't change your benefits just now, but a generation. It's a lot more than that $2,400 of SSI for Elizabeth Warren. This dwarfs that amount. This is leaps and bounds a lot more money. So don't ever think about that $2,400 again. This is what you think about going forward for SSI and SSDI reform. It's wonderful. It's coming up in the second half of this video. But first, let's go over the big money available for you right now. And you are killing it, folks. You are doing a great job. I don't go less than an hour without a viewer saying they got that money. And you know how we do it on this channel. We don't track checks, we cash checks. I want you cashing checks. I don't want you asking what date a vote of a procedural bill is going to be called. I want you cashing checks. I'm going to go over the big money you can get right now. And it starts with $350 billion for you. No, it's not all for you. It's a share. It's not all 350. This is not, the Publishers Clearinghouse. This is not Powerball. No, you got to share the money. It's $1 billion for me, and then the rest is for you. It's landing in cities, counties, and states this week and next week. So go get it. Get a pen and paper ready first before you get the money, because I'm going to go over the big money for you in just a second. And stay to the very end of this recording because I got a lot of money for you. The money's available in a lot of different places. And what's important to understand is that every place has different eligibility. So if one says no, reach out to the next. And ultimately, they also have their own pots of money. What is this for? Rent. About $5,000, 4 to 6 months of rent. Wonderful. Then renters' utilities, homeowners' mortgage, and homeowners' utilities. It is incredible. And I hope you got that pen and paper ready, because here we go. 6 places you're going to get it from. City Hall, City Housing Authority. County Hall, County Housing Authority. State Hall, State Housing Authority. The key word you're going to say is rent assistance because of COVID. Rent assistance because of COVID. And for mortgage holders, mortgage assistance because of COVID. You don't say stimulus. They don't know what that word means. They have no idea what it is. And you don't say bacon chicken wrap. Because they'll say, excuse me, who are you wrapping? We don't do wraps here. We do rent. So that's down the street at the falafel joint. So yeah, you have to say the correct words, otherwise they won't know what you're talking about. So go get that. Tim got it, Lynn got it, Linda got it, about $5,000 for rent. But the next pot, boy, you have been killing it. One viewer got $6,000 as reported yesterday in the live chat, jumped in there and said, getting about $5,500 a year. That's more than 6,000. It's almost 7,000. $5,500 a month, excuse me. So that's almost $7,000 and killing it. Glenn got it for herself, for her son, for her mom. Gail got it for herself. What is this? It's SNAP. It's a fortune. What is SNAP? How do you get it and where do you get it? Let's go over all the incredible details. SNAP is money for food. SNAP is money for food. You get it from Department of Agriculture, reaching out to Department of Agriculture. What is it? Why is it so much money, and how much money is it? For a family of 4 in Hawaii, it is upwards of $16,000 a year. Why so much money? because of two wonderful executive orders, one from Trump and one from Biden that raise everyone's benefits up 15% between now and December. So go get it. There you go. That is $5,000 for rent, $16,000 for food, and we are just starting and killing it at the 10-minute mark. If you're new to this channel, I don't report news. I get people money. I'm not here about you tracking checks. Oh, there's a check. No, I go over how for you to get money and to get you money. Last year when this channel launched, I got viewers $25 million in EIDL loans that they had applied for but weren't going anywhere. I saved their businesses, I saved their homes, I saved their employees' homes as well. Then in fall of last year, we saw that second stimulus was stalling. So I got people $250,000 for rent and utilities. Well, this is the same situation right now. And the next pot of money is $5,000 for you. Where's it coming from? The states. The federal government has identified states as overpaying you unemployment benefits during the last year and then asking you to return it due to no fault of your own, due to computer error. Well, the federal government has said, nope, that was a mistake. That was the American citizens' money to keep and has ordered the states to return the money back to you. So congratulations. How are you going to get that money? One of you already got $5,000 for it. You're going to watch it to land automatically from the account you have on file with your state. When to receive the money, each state has different respective routing times. So reach out to your state to receive the money. The next pot of money is wonderful, and it's the money coming back from IRS for those tax refunds that you paid taxes on your 2020 unemployment benefits. COD dropped into our hit overnight show called Overnight's Crypto. It is a 15-hour show, and it's breaking all YouTube records. I want you to watch it tonight. He jumped into the live chat because he knows I'm in there. It's 15 hours. I'm not in all 15 hours, but he found me in there saying, tell viewers I got the money. Another viewer got it the Friday before Memorial Day weekend. Another viewer got $2,000. So they wanted to help you understand you're getting that money. That's the spirit of the Purple Power. How much do you get, when you get it, and how you get it? Let's go over the incredible details. First, how much money? If you had $9,000 of unemployment benefits, you paid $5,000 of taxes to IRS, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. Congratulations, you are getting back $4,000 from IRS. Next, how? It's going to come automatically to direct deposit if that's what you had set up like COD did, but otherwise in the mailbox. So watch for that envelope. It is razor thin. You do not want to throw it away. Trust me, you don't want to throw it away. So be surgically careful going through the mail over the next few weeks. Next, when? In the month of June. Then how to track? 70% of the time it works. Go to irs.gov, sign in, set up a username and password, go in, and do what's called a transcript search. And 70% of the time it works. It'll show when you filed that tax return, when you paid the taxes, and when you're getting a refund. Can anything be better than that? It is. Which brings me to the breaking news of the major deal the president hatched on the fourth stimulus package today. I'll be getting to that in just a second, but let me explain what brought us to this moment, a series of 4 steps that brought us to the breaking news this Saturday morning. It started the Friday before Memorial Day weekend when Chuck Schumer confirmed not one, but 3 of the things that I had said was happening. 1, Schumer confirmed my reporting that the reconciliation process had already begun. Number 2, that the reconciliation process will be done by July 4th. And number 3, that the reconciliation process would not be held up by any negotiations by the president with the Republicans. That was the Friday before Memorial Day weekend. Now, right before that, it all got the ball rolling with a letter from Jalapal again. Yes, that House member who wrote the multiple stimulus check bill. When Jalapal originally wrote the bill, 100-plus House Democrats who vote on the fourth stimulus wrote the president a letter saying, when fourth stimulus is hatched and written, we are going to put monthly stimulus checks in there. Well, what did Jalapal do to get the ball rolling? Jalapal wrote Schumer a letter saying, call the vote, Chuck, on the reconciliation. We shouldn't be waiting. And signing that letter was over a dozen House Democrats, which were included among those who wrote the president saying they're putting fourth stimulus checks into the fourth stimulus package. Oh boy, that is good. Does it get better than that? Yes. When 7 House Democrats wrote the president a letter about a week ago and saying we're going to work with you with putting monthly fourth stimulus checks into the fourth stimulus package. Wow. Now, work with you is a euphemism because the president doesn't write legislation. He doesn't write the fourth stimulus. He doesn't put in anything on the fourth stimulus. They do. They write the legislation. But who are these 7 people to write the legislation? They are in the House committee that's solely and exclusively responsible for writing stimulus check legislation in the House. Oh my goodness. That is big. That is big. And they wrote the first stimulus check, the second stimulus check, the third stimulus check, and they now say they're writing the fourth stimulus check. Oh my goodness. That is wonderful. Which brings me up to the breaking news today. Over the last 2 weeks, you've heard me talk about, or last week, you've heard me talk about an event that happened on Tuesday. And always at this part of the recording, I say I'm going to slow it down and explain it to you. And I say it's complicated. Well, today it's a little bit complicated. And I saw some trolls in some of the videos earlier today saying that has nothing to do with forced stimulus. It's only to do with forced stimulus. It has nothing to do with anything other than forced stimulus. But it is complicated. So I'm going to slow it down and make sure it's super, super careful so clear to you so you understand how this works. Fourth stimulus is paid for by raising the U.S. corporate tax rate. It's currently 20%. The president had proposed a very high U.S. corporate tax rate in the fourth stimulus package. It was so high that moderate Democrats said, no, Mr. President, you have to come lower. And he said over a month ago, deal. It was wonderful news, and I reported at the time. Well, some still wondered if it was a little bit still too high for the moderate Democrats. Well, the president at the time and his press secretary and the White House multiple times said part of the issue with the fourth stimulus package is the global corporate tax rate. That corporations may still flee the United States when they see the president raising the U.S. corporate tax rate under the fourth stimulus package and go to, say, France. And so the president, concerned about that under the fourth stimulus package, involved raising the global minimum corporate tax rate. What does that mean? Let me explain it very slowly. How this was the concern was that if the president raised the U.S. corporate tax rate under fourth stimulus, companies would flee the United States and go to, let's say, France. So what did the president have to do? He had to get countries like France to raise the global minimum corporate tax rate so that companies would not flee the United States after fourth stimulus became passed. I had told you over the last week that on Tuesday, the president had reached out to the G7 countries, which is 7 countries, that's why it's called 7, G7, and it got to them tentatively to agree on the global minimum corporate tax rate of 15%, which is wonderful. It would then validate the fourth stimulus and would ensure that fourth stimulus would pass and that no businesses would leave the country. At the time I told you, the president had told insiders that after fourth stimulus passes, and this is very important, after fourth stimulus, he would go back to those G7 countries and have them sign on the dotted line to put that global corporate tax rate of 15% as they had so tentatively agreed. And then he would come back and drop our corporate tax rate lower because at 25%, for example, we would be too high competing with G7 countries that have a minimum of 15%. Follow me so far? Yes. So what happened today and yesterday? Yesterday, only this channel reported to you that a small news clipping article, sort of buried out there, said that the president was going to make an announcement about a meeting with the G7 countries today, Saturday. And I told you to tune into this channel Saturday because something's happening. I specifically said on Friday, I don't know why he would be meeting with the G7 countries on Saturday. And then the news hit. Saturday morning, as reported first on this channel's community page from me, the president, his Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, and the Prime Minister, Finance Minister of France announced that the G7 countries had done the deal for the global minimum corporate tax rate this morning. This morning, not after fourth stimulus, but now this morning. And that next week they're actually signing it in person in Europe. This is jaw-droppingly great news. Why? Because now fourth stimulus can pass, 1. 2, any concern about any moderate Democrat is gone because not only will the U.S. corporate tax rate stay low, but potentially even lower than that deal that he did a month ago with the moderate Democrats. Because he specifically said, the president, he would drop it even lower because he doesn't want to have now, let's say, 25% when you could go to France at 15%. He thought that 25 may be too low. He only put it at that point because the global corporate tax rate hadn't been signed. This is huge. So he is now setting up everything perfectly to be passed by his Democrats in the Senate for forced stimulus. Incredible. Now, in the second half of this video, I'll be going over more about this incredible news about forced stimulus, and then coming up is fist stimulus. Importantly, what I want you to do is that while that explanation took a little while to tell you, I don't have the time to go over that incredible depth of the U.S. corporate tax rate and global corporate tax rate in every video. So if you've learned that now, share that information with other people who jump in the chat, because ultimately, it's a long thing to explain. It's too hard to cover in every single video. But guess what? I got more exciting news, and it's the volunteers. The volunteers are salt of the earth, and they embody the spirit of the purple power. They're viewers helping viewers, and what are they doing? They're helping you get that rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and homeowners assistance. If you can't find it yourself, reach out to them. Open the description to this video. Go down the description, you'll see an emoji of a house. Next to that emoji of a house is a link to the community page, news.lalate.com/community. It'll send you then to the volunteers page. Reach out to them and they can help you find that rent, utilities, and mortgage assistance. Here's a little bit about them. I'll be back in 60 seconds with you with more about the forced stimulus, a personal message for me, a surprise personal message, and also the incredible details about fist stimulus. Stay with me. I'll be back in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Noontime LALATE as the president hatches a major deal on the forced stimulus package, but I got more breaking news about forced stimulus still coming up in the second half of this video. Plus, the incredible details about fist stimulus. They'll raise your benefits lifetime, and a personal message from me as well. How are you? It's noontime. This is LALATE. Make sure you subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a one-year YouTube record. Next stop, 1 million. Subscribe right now. Also, like this video. 3,000 likes. Every like helps in the algorithm ranking. And consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. The link's at the top of the chat. Let's jump into that fifth stimulus that heats up this fall. It raises up your benefits lifetime. And why is it so incredible? I'll go over all the details starting right now. That SSI reform is part of the elements of the fifth stimulus. And it starts with raising up your benefits, then removing the asset limits at an inflationary benchmark, then removing the marriage penalty, and removing the income exclusion. Let me go over the breaking details, breaking news, what you should expect for next week about this, and how this works. All right, first, they're going to raise up your benefits. Who's you? You. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, Veterans benefits, Survivor benefits, or SSA, they're going to raise your benefits up a major amount at one time. Then they're going to apply a benchmark. That benchmark will no longer be COLA, and it will not be the CPIE, which Elizabeth Warren proposed, which would be a lot less. It will be inflation. This is wonderful news because inflation is expected to be its highest price point ever of a generation this December when they first apply the benchmark. How does a benchmark work? Every December, you get a letter saying next year benefits are going to stay the same, but they're going to step up. They're applying the benchmark. So what's the inflation rate going to be in December? That's what we're going to watch over the next few weeks. This week, we've got more indication that's probably somewhere between 2 to 7%, but we have a lot of economic data that still has to come out. But let's go over an example. Let's say it's 6%. This is how it would work. First, they would raise your benefits up under fifth stimulus. Then in December, they would go in and apply the benchmark. Let's say the inflation rate is 6% in December. Then you would step up 6%. But not just next year, lifetime. Because the way benefits works is they step up your benefits, and once they step up, they never step down. But they can step up even more. So let's say next year, the year after this, the inflation rate is 0. You're still at plus 6%. And the year after that, the inflation rate is 2%. Then you're at plus 2 and plus 6% that year. It's wonderful news. There's no time better than now to have inflation as your benchmark. This pays a lot more money, a lot more money, lifetime, than anything the Elizabeth Warren $2,400 would have ever paid you. Then they're going to remove the asset cap, which Warren was not going to do. That's going to allow you to have more than $3,000 in your hand, just time to get those stimulus checks. They're going to remove the income cap, which Warren was not going to do. That's going to allow you to work if you want to and no longer be disqualified from benefits. And finally, they're going to remove the marriage penalty, which Warren wasn't going to do either. That marriage penalty is horrible, penalizes you if you are married and prevents you from getting married. Now love is going to win. You'll be able to marry your longtime love interest and not be penalized. That's fifth stimulus, and it heats up this fall. But it's important to understand that fifth stimulus has a lot of other things in there besides just that. And that's why it's important to consider becoming a member. The member link's at the top of the chat and in the pinned comment. Every day, members are delivered from me a breakdown of what's in the fifth stimulus, the fourth stimulus, and the third stimulus. So you see the money that's for you. A lot of this money is application-based. So unless you go and get it, it's not coming to you automatically, and it's your money. For example, in fifth stimulus, they're proposing money for single individuals, single hazard pay, single stuff for seniors as well. Under fourth stimulus, there's a lot of money I can't cover in the 30-minute video. And under third stimulus, there's a lot of money that is now available for you under the law that if you don't get it, they're not going to give it to you. So consider becoming a member. At minimum, subscribing. And with that, let's circle back to fourth stimulus and a personal message. First, I'm going to go over what calling the vote is, which is very important for you to know. And then I'm going to go over a personal message. Calling the vote. Calling the vote is very important to understand that the reconciliation process requires at least 9 steps of voting under the Constitution, and that there's no way to cut the corners on them. Let's go over them. The first half are procedural, the second half are substantive. Step 1, the House subcommittee calls the procedural vote. Step 2, the Senate subcommittee calls the procedural vote. The House floor calls the procedural vote. Step 3, the Senate calls the procedural vote. And step 4, the president signs into law the procedural bill. At this point, the tow truck has passed over the finish line. Time to go get the substantive bill, the tow hitch. Step 5, the House subcommittee writes and votes on the substantive bill. It's at that point that the House members could put in the monthly stimulus checks, or perhaps they don't. We'll see that in a second. Then step 6, the House floor votes on the substantive bill. Step 7 and 8 is the 2-day vote-a-rama. During that 2-day vote-a-rama in the Senate, the senators do amendments to whatever they were given to them from the House. So, if the House did not have stimulus checks in there, the senators can amend by adding them in there. If the House did have stimulus checks, the senators can leave it alone. Or the senators can amend and change the provisions. And then step 9, the president signs into law. Those are all the 9 steps that are required in what's called calling the vote. Now, a personal message. What you've been really great at lately is that when I inform you and educate you about something that's procedural, something that's a timeline, something that's substantive, you've been able to learn it. And that when someone else jumps in the chat and doesn't know the answer, you've been able to share the answer with them. So with that, I want to go over a series of things personally that I've seen in some of the comments not in the live chats, but on the channel, where people I don't think are trying to be negative, but they're confused. So I'm going to share this information with you so that if you see those questions again, you can answer it for them. So let's go over one of them at a time. First, the legislators are out of time. It's the middle of June. They don't have enough time to do the reconciliation. Untrue. Legislators have been doing reconciliation for 20, 30, 40 years of time. They know exactly their routing times. They know exactly how long it takes, so they're not out of time. Question number 2. They're dragging their feet because they haven't started vote number 1. So some viewers have a lot of big issue about vote number 1 versus step number 9, that they haven't started step 1, and that means that they're not going to get to step 9. No. It just depends on how the legislators want to do it. Some do the 9 steps right together. Some do the first half and then take a break and then do the second half. Doesn't mean one thing or the other. Number 3, we haven't heard anything. That's a very common refrain that some people want to say. Let me go over that first of all. House legislators in subcommittees, they don't tell you what they're doing unless they publish something ahead of time. So, for example, when they're working on a draft of a bill in a subcommittee, until they actually post it to the subcommittee's website because it's ready to call for a vote because it's finished, they're not going to tell you what they're doing. They're not very vocal people. They don't have press conferences. They don't issue press releases. So a lot of people think that in an age of digital media and social media that every subcommittee member is going to come out and talk about things every 10 seconds. They don't do that. Now, on the Senate side, I specifically addressed this a couple of times. The Senate side, let's say the House doesn't do any stimulus checks. Let's turn to the Senate side for Votorama. I've talked about this by referring to it as cloak and dagger, by MacGyverish. I've used a lot of expressions like that. The senators specifically, when it comes to Votorama, work in a covert, secretive way. So you're inherently not going to hear it from the senators. Why? There's 2 reasons. 1, they don't want to tip off the opposing party about what they're going to be doing. And second, they don't want them to know that they're doing it because they want to prepare not only the substance of the amendment, but when the vote is called, specifically what hour and day, because they don't want to be preempted by someone else's bill that would be the opposite. Third, they want to make sure that all their colleagues are on board in their party before they start talking about anything. So a lot of these things are total surprises. And for purposes of the Votorama, it is a total surprise. So with that, I've also heard people say, when are we going to hear the senator's amount on the Votorama side? Literally, probably 48 hours before the bill becomes law. That's how Votorama works. The final 2 days, and then the president signs it 2 days after that. They are not going to hold a press conference, and they're absolutely, positively not going to tell you what they're going to do. Their modus of operandi is not to tell you what they're going to do. Next, the president hasn't said anything. Now, there's a whole narrative that I'm taking it for positive note as to people confused rather than people being trollish, that people want to think things aren't happening or maybe not happening because the president doesn't say it. Let's go over this one at a time. First, the president doesn't write bills. The president is executive branch. The president proposes what he wants in there, and then the legislators write it the way they want to write it, and then if they want to add stuff to it, they add stuff to it. Then they send it to the president's table. If he likes it, he signs it. If he doesn't like it, he vetoes it. Here's an example. The president of the United States, Joseph Biden, never talked about your first $10,200 of unemployment assistance being tax-free. The president of the United States never talked about student loan debt forgiveness if forgiveness is a non-taxable event. Whoever talked about it? Whoever held a press conference about it? Whoever released a bill about it? No one. Where did it show up? In the final 24 hours before the third stimulus became law during Votorama. It literally was held secretly, quietly among the Democrats. Chuck Schumer, no less, kept it a secret to the very final minute, slid it into Votorama and passed it. There's a lot of other things, the third stimulus, that no one even heard a single Democrat ever mention until the very last minute of the total reconciliation process. That's how they do it. They keep these things secret. So for purposes of stimulus checks, for purposes of anything else, the president has nothing to do with that process. It's the legislators. And The manner in which they're going to do it, they keep it secretive if they're on the Senate side. Next, finally, it's important to understand that there are some people that want to assume everything is put out in front. This is reconciliation. So there has been no bill released publicly about what is A to Z in there. And so some people say things like, it's not in there. I always laugh when I see that comment. In where? In where? There's no bill that has been released that's procedural or substantive. And even if there was a draft, it hasn't been called for a vote. So until the bill's called for a vote and it's finished the votorama for both the procedural and the substantive, who cares? It's very peculiar when people sort of have a determination in their mind about the event before the event is finalized, which is very strange. Lastly, what's important to understand is that legislators like to make changes, and they make changes down to the very last second. And so it's important that you always push. So let's assume there was a bill. Let's assume they had written every language of the bill. Let's assume we're just waiting for them to call a vote. Hey, these are legislators. They can fold like a lawn chair. They can fold like a lawn chair. So just because it's in a law doesn't mean you're going to get paid. Just because it's in a bill doesn't mean it's going to go to a vote. So you got to share these videos on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You have to push. Purple Power, time to do your thing. Share these videos on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hashtag MSC. Hashtag Purple Power. And finally, if you see people with similar questions like that I've now answered for them, answered for you, you can share the answers with them so they know now what the correct answer is. And with that, I look forward to you joining me on Afternoons LA. It's going to be a big broadcast with more about that deal the president hatched today. And then after that is Evenings LA. Afternoons is at 3 o'clock and then evenings at 5, followed by Evenings Crypto and Overnights Crypto. So make sure you subscribe. 400,000 subscribers for a reason. The most in-depth, the most accurate reporting there is online. 1 million's the next step. I want you to subscribe. Like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. Stay informed, stay focused. Have a beautiful afternoon, and stay with LA for more.